So you've likely seen the headlines, maybe got a notification about that really awful electric bus crash in Rajkot, April 16th, 2025.
Yeah, terrible news. An RMC electric bus.
Right, running a red light, Indira Circle, 4 people killed, 4 injured. It's just heavy stuff.
It is. And it's easy to just see the headline and feel overwhelmed, maybe move on.
Exactly. But today, we want to maybe dig a bit deeper than just the headlines. Look at the news coverage we have.
Try and understand the how and the why behind it.
Yeah. What can this one tragic event tell us? What are the important insights for you, the listener, about maybe some bigger picture things?
It's crucial, I think, to look beyond that initial shock and sadness, necessary as that is, and ask what systems were in place. Where were the potential weaknesses?
Let's start with the scene itself, Indira Circle, that Wednesday morning.
Around 10 a.m., the source says. Busy intersection, 150 feet ring road.
So just a normal morning, lots of traffic, cars, bikes, people trying to get somewhere.
And then this electric bus, described as modern, right?
Yeah, supposed to be the future, and the report uses words like barrel through. No sign of slowing down at the red light.
Just plowed straight into the waiting traffic. Imagine the impact.
It's horrific. The source mentions at least 2 cars, 6 two-wheelers just scattered.
The violence of it and the number of lives just instantly changed.
And those lives. 4 people died right there. The article makes a point of naming them.
Which is important. They're not just numbers.
Rajagita, 35. Actually an RMC employee himself. Sangeeta Chaudhary, 40. Chinmay Bhatt, only 25. And Kiran Kakar, 56.
As the article puts it, more than names. Each one a person, a family affected.
Absolutely. And then the injured. You mentioned a child.
Yeah, 7-year-old boy.
Hey.
Which is just heartbreaking. Plus, Suraj Ral, Vishal Makwana, and Viraj Bakatar facing recovery now.
So much suffering. And immediately, eyes turn to the driver, Shishupal Singh Rana.
Right. He was injured too, apparently under police guard in the hospital. Standard procedure.
And they're taking blood samples for alcohol, drugs.
Yes. Also standard. Which leads directly to those first big questions for, the investigation.
Was it impairment? Or something else?
Well, the initial focus, according to the report, is kind of twofold. Driver error.
Like just failing to brake, negligence.
That's one possibility. Or the other major one is mechanical failure.
Brake malfunction.
Exactly. And those two possibilities have massively different implications, don't they?
Totally. Driver error points one way, towards individual responsibility, maybe training issues.
But mechanical failure, well, that opens up a whole can of worms about the bus itself. Maintenance, safety checks.
And who's responsible? The RMC, the private company running the buses.
It points towards potentially systemic problems. And judging by the public reaction described in the article, many people suspected systemic issues right away.
You can really feel that anger coming through in the report. Grief, yes, but also rage.
A mob formed at the scene. It wasn't peaceful.
No. Vandalism of the bus, and reports the driver was actually beaten by the crowd before police stepped in.
Which is awful in itself. And the police apparently had to use a baton charge to clear the area.
It just shows the level of emotion, right?
Yeah.
But the article suggests it wasn't just about this crash.
No, it frames it as boiling over from past frustrations, a pattern of perceived failures in Rajkot.
Yeah, it mentions a trench incident last year, and obviously that terrible gaming zone fire in 2024.
Which the High Court itself called a man-made disaster.
So for people there, you can see how this might feel like.
Yeah.
Like another example of poor oversight.
Yeah.
Maintenance failures having deadly consequences.
It's that history, that context that's so vital for you to grasp. The anger wasn't just spontaneous. It felt like, here we go again, a real loss of trust.
And the official response. The RMC announced compensation pretty quickly.
15 lakh rupees for families of the deceased, 2 lakh for the injured.
And they terminated the contract with the private operator, Rajkot Rajpath Limited.
Which are, steps. But do they address the root cause? Compensation helps, but it doesn't undo the tragedy.
And ending the contract. Does that fix the oversight problem? Or just shift the players?
Exactly. It raises big questions about how these public-private partnerships, these PPPs, are managed.
Speaking of the operator, Rajkot Rajpath Limited, their manager is quoted, Paresh Athiya.
Right, and he claimed, it's important to stress, that the conductor reported a brake failure.
But the article is clear. That's just a claim for now. Everyone's waiting on the official RTO mechanical report.
It highlights that gap between an initial statement and, verified facts. You have to be careful there.
And it brings us back to those PPPs. They're common, often pushed for efficiency.
But this incident really throws a harsh light on the accountability side. When something goes wrong, who is ultimately responsible?
For the maintenance, the driver training, safety protocols, it can get fuzzy.
It really can, and that's maybe the central issue this tragedy forces us to look at.
The article then kind of zooms out, connecting this crash to broader road safety issues in Gujarat.
Yeah, it uses pretty strong language, calling past incidents horror shows. Speeding, lax enforcement, infrastructure problems.
It paints a picture for you of this not being just a Rajkot issue or just this one bus, but part of a wider, worrying trend.
And the irony, which the article points out, is pretty stark. An electric bus.
Meant to be the clean, safe future of transport.
Right at the center of this catastrophic failure. It makes you question if the push for modernization is matched by the focus on basic safety and upkeep.
Are these new, maybe more complex vehicles being maintained properly?
Yeah.
Are drivers getting the specific training they need?
These are critical questions because an electric system might have different failure points, different maintenance needs than a diesel bus.
And what about the road itself? Indira Circle, this busy junction.
Was the traffic signal working? Is it a junction where people routinely ignore signals anyway?
Because even the best bus and driver are at risk if the infrastructure is flawed or if rules aren't followed.
Absolutely. The article mentions simple things, potential fixes, speed bumps maybe, better signage, more visible police presence.
Things that seem like common sense, perhaps, but might have made a difference.
And you saw the public reaction online, didn't you? The hashtags, hashtag Rajkot crash, hashtag road safety.
Yeah, lots of anger, calls for accountability.
Yeah.
That same feeling of, again, came through.
It's a powerful indicator for you of just how deep the public concern runs.
The article also touches on the bus vandalism again, saying, well, it's not excusable.
It reflects that breakdown of trust we talked about. When people feel the system isn't working, isn't protecting them.
They might lash out. It's a symptom of a deeper problem, a disconnect.
And the police response, the baton charge, might have just widened that gap for some people.
So looking forward, what can be done? The article lays out some potential steps, not rocket science mostly.
No, often the solutions are known. It's the consistent implementation that's the challenge, like rigorous vehicle maintenance.
Regular safety audits, no cutting corners. Seems obvious, but clearly crucial.
Yeah.
And comprehensive driver training. Not just once, but regular refreshers. Mandatory drug and alcohol tests.
That feels like a baseline, right, for driving the public around.
Absolutely. Then fixing the infrastructure, better signs, speed calming measures, ensuring signals work and are obeyed.
And for the private operators, strict safety clauses in contracts, real penalties if they don't comply.
Penalties that actually bite, not just a cost of doing business. Accountability needs teeth.
And transparency, right. Engaging the public, keeping them informed about investigations, town halls maybe.
Anything to help rebuild that trust. Show people their concerns are heard and acted upon.
Finally, the article points out that other cities in Gujarat, like Ahmedabad and Surat, have apparently made some progress on transport safety.
Which is hopeful. It means Rajkot doesn't have to reinvent the wheel. They can learn from successes elsewhere.
It suggests progress is possible. This awful tragedy could maybe be a catalyst for real change if the lessons are learned.
If the will is there to implement them consistently.
So wrapping this up, you can see, hopefully, that this Rajkot bus crash goes way beyond just one terrible incident you might have scrolled past.
It really forces us to look hard at road safety, at accountability, at the systems meant to protect us all.
How do we make public transport safer, especially with new tech coming in?
How do we ensure proper oversight, proper maintenance, a real culture of safety from top to bottom?
And maybe the biggest question it leaves you with is this. If we kind of know what needs to be done, better maintenance, training, infrastructure, accountability.
If these preventative measures are mostly common sense, what are the deeper systemic blockages? Why don't they always get implemented effectively?
And what role does public pressure, public demand for safety play in forcing that change? Something for you to think about, perhaps? Maybe look more into urban transport planning, those PPP challenges, or road safety rules in India generally.
It's complex, for sure, but understanding it is the first step.